the Irish guy, and lads, getting relegated from the Premier League is about as much fun as being force-fed your dog for tea. I mean, it's scary, okay? Football chairmen have it ingrained into their psyches that, yeah, getting relegated to the Championship, will just destroy the entire fabrics of the club, right? Nah, in reality, lads, it's not actually the worst thing in the world. I mean, incredible for some clubs, if you manage to bounce back at the first attempt, I mean, at worst, it's just like being in prison for 1 year. I mean, sure, you might have to spend one Christmas eating your turkey out of a bin whilst your insane cellmate continues to wee on the walls. But really, in reality, it's not going to ruin your life. I mean, lads, Fulham have been relegated so often, I'm guessing their fans must feel like they just spent 7 years living on a roller coaster ride at Disneyland Paris. Yeah, try to eat your breakfast when you're halfway up Space Mountain. You'll constantly feel like getting sick on your feet. But still, despite the continuous disasters, look at them. They're 7th in the league. They're fine. I mean, sure, the club at mass relegations like Katie Price collects divorces, but I mean, they're still swimming. It's fine. But still, this season, the relegation battle is like nothing we've ever seen before. I mean, lads, it's like trick-or-treating outside Michael Myers' house. Everyone's in danger. Even the fat kids. Lads, there are only 3 more Premier League games before Christmas, and yet, realistically, about 12 teams are in a relegation scrap. Honestly, the fans of these clubs are going to have such a nervous break for the World Cup. I mean, imagine those supporters who have to rot in a relegation zone for an entire month without being allowed to play a match. I mean, it's like being told to go and live in a crocodile's mouth until Boxing Day, and just hoping that he doesn't chew you like a Twix. Honestly, if they're in the bottom 3 when the Premier League has its World Cup break, I mean, sure, the fans might try to distract themselves by trying to get invested in Qatar versus Ecuador, but secretly inside, you'll feel a pit of dread in your kidneys. A bit like my mum when she realized I booked my Christmas flights.
Go away, you weird little boy.
See? But listen, let's try then and break down what is the most open relegation battle of all time. This is a video where I fix every team. I mean, just like when Michael Schofield drew a prison on his back, this is my blueprint to try and get you out of jail. Well, except if your name's Mason, then I can't help. Okay, I realize that many of you might think that I got the brains of a melted dairy milk and that I've got all the wisdom of a cheap garden gnome, but lads, this is how I remedy every team. Chairman, tune in, watch this video. I mean, slap a big fat subscribe because of these. These are the secrets that will keep you up. Okay, quick interruption, and yes, this video is sponsored by Manscaped. Listen, you probably heard me mention them once, twice, 1,000 times, but it's because you still haven't done it. Lads, let's be real, it's Halloween. If you don't have Manscaped, then right now, your downstairs area is probably an Edward Scissorhands nightmare. Yeah, that's a Halloween joke, so incredibly corny, even Tim Burton would probably throw up in his mouth. But the Manscaped Ultra Smooth package is here to help you. Why am I telling a 15-year-old how to shave his sack? But inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Eid Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a little travel bag. I mean, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce grooming accidents. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch, and gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off. You know, just in case you're shaving in the dark. Oh yeah, and the trimmer's waterproof. But again, don't do this in the sea. You'll probably just creep out the fish. Anyway, Manscaped is giving everyone who's watching this video a huge 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code IrishGuy20 at checkout. So go on, link in the description. Go now! Lads, back in August, I predicted the teams that would go down were Leeds, Brighton and Brentford. And you all laughed at me. You sneered at me like Draco Malfoy on the train. You all just looked down your nose at me as if I just admitted to something like, I don't know, I go trick-or-treating dressed like Snow White. You all peered down your nose at me like a cranky goblin at the bank. Really? 2 Harry Potter references? I don't even like the films. But yeah, you all just looked down at me as if, you just spotted me eating dog poo off the floor of a bus. I mean, lad, Brighton began the season by beating Manchester United. Brentford then stuck 4 past David De Gea, while Leeds thumped Chelsea 3-0. Yes, I realised that initially didn't age well, but lads, early season shocking results can happen. I mean, 3 years ago, Norwich City beat Man City in September. Yeah, I mean, they still spent that season being chewed apart like a wet bag of popcorn. Lads, I'm gonna say this. Who's laughing now? Leeds are crammed in the relegation zone, while the great Jesse Marsh is favoured for the sack. Ozzy, right now, that club should be begging Nuno Santo on the phone. Just leave his little Saudi Arabian retreat, where he's probably just using cash as toilet paper, and just get him to Ellen Road, because Santo is a good coach, and will probably keep this Leeds squad up. I mean, he'll probably switch to 5 at the back, and give more protection for the defence, focus on the wing backs. Lad, he is a quality coach. And you know how club announcements are getting more and more ridiculous on Twitter? I mean, Diego Costa was having to pose with actual wolves. You just know, if this guy gets the gig in December, They're gonna make him just have to pose with a reindeer outside Ellen Road. But poor old Jesse Marsh. Listen, I'm not just picking on him because he sounds like he belongs in the cast of Breaking Bad. I mean, I realize hearing an American accent a match of the day, it's a bit like seeing Piers Morgan dress up in drag. But I mean, that's not the lazy reason why I think Marsh should go. No, the truth is I just don't think he's Premier League quality. And it's a minor miracle he didn't relegate the club last season. I mean, does nobody remember in the club's crunch time for the season, they chose to go on a 5-game winless streak? Marsh is a very lucky boy, so just bring in Santo and sign a striker because Patrick Bamford is about as much use as a broken Buzz Lightyear toy. I mean, in January, it must be an ambitious, top quality centre forward. I say go for Jonathan David from Lille for about 40 million quid. Anyway, next, Brighton are only 6 points above the drop zone, and Roberto De Zerbi has yet to win a match. I mean, how do you fix them? Very simple, buy a centre forward, because Danny Welbeck, as much as everyone loves him, and yes, he has revived a career after he looked like he's just going to be a sad 20-something-year-old Watford flop. So yes, he's done well at the MX, but he still doesn't score enough goals. So if I'm Brighton, go out there in January and pay Chelsea £35 million for Armando Broja. It's big money, yes, but his goals will keep you up. Who's next? Brentford are in this scrap. I mean, don't act like they're not. 1 win in 6 matches. I mean, they just travelled to Newcastle and Aston Villa and shipped 9 goals on the road. It's brutal. I honestly still believe they're going down because their form away from home is scary bad. I mean, every time a poor old Brentford fan has to set foot on the coach for an away day, they probably feel like a sick dog being carried towards the vet. Everton are massively in this scrap. One thing I will get them is that Frank Lampard is very good at getting this team on a consistent run of form. I mean, lads, they began the season with 2 defeats in a row, then lose 4 draws in a row, then 2 wins in a row, then 3 defeats in a row. Everything is done in a row. I mean, look at all the different shades of colour. I mean, it looks like a rainbow cartoon, but that's a worry, because if everything then gets stuck in a horrible run of form, a sequence of losing, then it's hard to get out of it. As Everton didn't win any of their first 6 matches. Yes, performances were good, but still, this is Everton FC. Just make sure your home form is good and continue to make Goodison Park a horrible cauldron of noise. And for the love of Christ, make sure Dominic Calvert-Lewin stays fit, but they should be fine. So who else? Nottingham Forest are finally showing that they're actually fighting for Steve Cooper. What a win versus Liverpool. But for Forest, don't sign any players in January. No. Okay, right now, they're a bit like a shopaholic wife who steals her husband's credit card to, instead of doing the family food shopping, she just goes out to buy 12 bottles of perfume and 7 bags worth of clothes. Yeah. What are your kids supposed to eat for tea? Because I don't really think a microwave skirt is going to hit the spot. And for Forest, just work on the training ground. Buy into Cooper Ball and fight. And just pick a settled team. But if you show the same level of grit that you showed against Liverpool for every match, then you will stay up. Motivation is key. Aston Villa, I think, have already fixed themselves. I mean, you don't need my advice. You've just been a tactical eggplant like Steven Gerrard for an accomplished tactical mind in Unai Emery. I mean, you've already got a squad which should be competing for the top half. So yeah, well done. You've sort of already fixed yourselves. Bournemouth are in this. They are a mess. Lads, Gary O'Neill started brilliantly as interim coach, but the wheels are coming off. 2 defeats in a row. They barely scored any goals. Lads, I'm going to stick with my prediction that I made in August. But I mean, really, if I wasn't such a stubborn donkey, then I would probably admit that they're going down. They will battle well, but lads, I think if Bournemouth lose to a fragile Tottenham and then take 0 points from Ellen Road, then I think you might need to accept that the new manager bounce is gone. The novelty has worn off, and it might be time to hire an actual proper Big Daddy coach. In which case, Chris Wilder is an option, but let's be real. He's just failed at Middlesbrough. His final season at Sheffield United was a disaster. Do you really want to hire someone who's probably now got the confidence of Kirk Van Houten? So go out there and get Sean Dyche. I mean, it's just so obvious. He would have 25 games in a January transfer window, and there's already a good set of lads who dig in for him. I mean, Dyche isn't exactly walking into a toxic dressing room full of egotistical man-childs who wear Gucci handbags and blow-dry their hair. The recipe is there. Get Dyche and you stay up. Who else? Leicester. They don't need any help. I have full faith in Brendan Rodgers. Lads, he knows what he's doing. Not a flicker of a prayer are they going down. Lads, they won just 3 games, yes, but 2 of them were 4-0 wins. There are goals in this team. They'll be absolutely fine. My one suggestion would be that just under any circumstances, do not sell James Maddison in January. Because yeah, that would be like choosing to eat an entire birthday cake whilst driving beside a narrow cliff. Just don't sell Maddison and you'll be fine. There's next. the only way Crystal Palace will get relegated is if they do something stupid and sack Patrick Vieira. I mean, they started the season with just 1 win in 7 games. Don't forget, this is the same board who binned Frank de Boer after a month. As long as you back Vieira and don't do something incredibly stupid, like nervously panic and dump him in February for, I don't know, Sam Allardyce again, then with this squad, you'll be fine. And poor old Wolves, you are in trouble. Lads, who predicted that Wolves would be spending Halloween joint bottom of the Premier League? This is such a talented squad. The fact that you're 19th with 2 wins in 12, it's a revolting stat. What Wolves need to do is embarrass themselves. You've already said that Steve Davis has the caretaker job until 2023. No, okay, right now it is time to make yourselves look like a bunch of inconsistent meatheads. Yes, lose face. Go back on your word and get rid of him now. It will make you look like a bunch of clowns, yes, but I'm sorry, what's the alternative? Choosing to let a former manager of Nantwich Town and Northwich Victoria continue to affect a Premier League dressing room until January? I'm sure he's a nice guy, but there is a stench of utter mediocrity, and that's me being nice. That's 5 years ago, he was sacked by Leyton Orient after 6 months. Continue to persist with him. It's lazy and neglectful. I mean, it's like purposely choosing not to do anything about that oozing lump on your dog's tongue. I mean, don't blame me if he suddenly keels over on the floor. Get Steve Davis out of the Wolves dressing room. I mean, let him go back to coaching the under 18s. But Wolves need a manager, and they need one now. A proper manager. Not someone who probably designs his tactics in a Disney coloring book. I realize you've been rejected twice in a row. And sure, it stinks. Take it from someone who's got a face like a baked potato. Don't just stop asking managers to preserve your ego. I mean, it's like that shy little 18-year-old at the bar who's too nervous to talk to another human woman for fear of getting another cocktail thrown in his eye. Just hire an attack-minded coach who knows how to get a team scoring goals. My choice would be Leonardo Jardim, a Portuguese coach who's just sort of been forgotten about. I mean, now he's working at Shabab Al Ali. But I mean, I realize he was sacked twice by Monaco in 1 year, and that sort of killed his European rep, but it really shouldn't. Lads, this guy won Monaco the league in 2017. He took them to a Champions League semi-final. Why is everyone just forgotten about this guy? For Wolves, he ticks the Portugal box. I mean, he's a guy who discovered Kylian Mbappe. He made Bernardo Silva. So think what he could do with Daniel Podence. The fact that Monaco chose to bid in favor of a flash, sexy name like Thierry Henry, that was clearly like some billionaire bloke divorcing his loving childhood sweetheart just to marry some airhead bint off Love Island. Yeah, try and have some stimulating conversation with her when she can't even locate China on a map. Honestly, Wolves, the answer is staring at you in the face. He's never coached in the Premier League, so would jump at the chance. It would be career revival for him. Get him. He would fix everything. And finally, Southampton, again, sack the coach. Sack Ralph Hasenhüttl now. I do not understand why you keep trying to persist with this man. You keep trying to make him work. He's a managerial donut who keeps losing 9-0 at the risk of sounding like one of the gals down the local hair salon. Come on. You can do so much better than him. Southampton are a big club. You don't need to be strung along with this bearded toilet man. Dump Ralph, because I'm going to say it. I know it hasn't happened yet, but I can very easily imagine this guy weeping on a pitch in May after clumsily falling to relegation. Sack Hasenhüttl now and replace him with Vincent Kompany. This man is the real deal. The next great managerial prospect. Give it 3 years and he'll be up there in the same class of well thought about coaches Mikel Arteta and Patrick Vieira. Test his Burnley loyalty. Offer the Clarets a fat compensation fee. Just swoon over Kompany on the phone and maybe, just maybe, you might be able to tempt him away. I mean, I realize I gave Graham Potter a hard time for collecting so many 1-1 draws and Kompany, and he's already had 7 as Burnley coach. But still, okay, I still reckon he'd be a brilliant Saints manager. So that's it. I'm sorry, but I'm sticking with my 3 relegated picks that I said in August. Brighton, Brentford, and Leeds. I'm gonna stick with it, okay? I might be horribly wrong, but the signs are there. I'm gonna say Brentford, Brighton, and Leeds. I'm doubling down on it, alright? So let me know. Am I wrong? Anyway, that's what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Who do you think are going down? How can you fix everything? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.